So with that, I'm going to invite Vimarsh. Vimarsh is our first speaker. He's the principal executive advisor at CEB. He has advised hundreds of CIOs and IT leaders. And what really got attention is we are subscribed to CEB, and the thought leadership on digital and how leadership needs to change is really interesting how CEB is looking at it. So you're going to enjoy the presentation from Vimarsh. Just a little bit background. Vimarsh also worked in the industry. He worked at Verizon. He was a technology strategist at Verizon Communications, a great industry experience where he developed innovative customer care and billing solutions. And Vimarsh has got a BS, Bachelor of Science, and honors in computer science, and he's an MBA from Wharton School. So great credentials, background. So Vimarsh, please come up to the stage.
Thanks, Bhupesh. I'm not sure if I'm a visionary leader, but hopefully I'll be a voice of a lot of visionary leaders today. So my topic is definitely something that I have done a presentation on many, many times with a lot of you, I think, in the room. Does anyone not know CEB? Should I raise? Okay, couple of hands. Okay. So CEB is a best practice and research firm. So essentially, we're trying to be an intelligent filter of what's happening in IT departments and kind of giving you a voice on, okay, here's what the best are doing. And we do have the privilege of working with not only IT, but finance and HR and R&D. And so we do take a perspective of the enterprise when we talk about IT. So that's kind of a little bit about CEB. And Bhupesh is right, we did now, you see at the bottom of the page there, CEB is now Gartner. As of 2 weeks ago, Gartner did acquire us, so we're working through the integration here. So leadership principles for digital transformation. I think the first thing people are going to ask is, like, digital, God, like IT is digital, it's been digital, what does digital really mean? So let's dive a little bit deep into digital and get past the hype on digital. So digital essentially is transforming across these three dimensions you see here, the rows we see on the page, right? Operations and workforce, the channel, and the product. And this is digital transformation for our companies, our organizations, right? At the bottom, you can see enhancement through transformation. So in the operations side, you're going to start seeing, or have already seen, digital manufacturing or supply chain digitization, right? On the channel side, hopefully the promise of 10 years of promises on omni-channel marketing, that we finally will have one face to the customer, right? And then the sexiest part about digital that everybody talks about is the product side. Like, hey, we're going to be actually, in IT, be actually possibly generating and creating new products and revenue for our firms, right? So Ford is no longer saying they're selling cars, they're also serving cars, right? We have GE, 2 people from the IT department got promoted to the executive committee because they're going to be generating hundreds of millions of dollars selling engine data to not Boeing, which they used to sell to, but to United Airlines and American Airlines, right? So you've got a transformation happening in our companies, right? And we've got to be able to figure out how we're going to support that. And you see on the right, all those are overlapping because there is a lot of interplay between product, channel, and operations. So digital essentially is an integrated, customer-centric perspective across the enterprise. And I know we've seen this in the past, in a way, potentially, but I want to kind of give you some data on why this has become even more important now. We've looked at CEO index, right? And CEOs, what they are saying about how important technology is for a for business growth. And this year, they're saying technology is the #1 driver for business growth. It was number 6, in 2004, right? Like it's clearly moved up, right? This is no longer that, hey, we're going to depend on marketing or R&D or sales to grow our business. Technology is going to be the #1 factor. When you look in the right-hand side, as I was mentioning, we have the privilege of working with most of your business partners. So finance, HR, R&D, sales, legal, all of them. And almost 80%, right, 77%, are saying the next 3 years' initiatives are dependent on technology. So here we are, I think it's 17 years after that article that said IT doesn't matter, right, in HBR. And and so, yeah, it is definitely not the case, right? We have a huge, huge ask from our, from our business partners to go help us across 3 main dimensions. And let me see if I can jump ahead to that just for the sake of, and then I'll come back to this. 3 dimensions. They want us to help them understand where is technology strategy going, give us strategic advice on digital products. They want, of course, still technical expertise, and they want it really fast. Unfortunately, you can see the data, right? On the right-hand side, they're saying only 1 in 5 gives me great strategic advice. Only 1 in 4 gives me sufficient technical expertise. And only 1 in 3 is fast. And again, we have the privilege of working with a lot of business leaders. So the data is about 1,000 business leaders. It's a pretty significant end. I think, I don't know if you guys agree with this data in your companies or not. I see some heads nodding. But I'm not sure if people feel like, hey, we've actually gone past this. Unfortunately, data is saying otherwise right now. Yeah, Jim.
I'm sorry. You know that the statement quote from the business unit general manager?
Yeah.
I think says a lot.
Yep.
And to me, that's transformational right there. And I'm wondering if that's what you're seeing across industries as well.
Absolutely. We're finding that even a mining company, forget like a fin or tech company, even them, they're saying like, I don't need someone to do like just execution on requirements gathering and just do what I'm asking them. I need them to imagine. And the analogy again, transportation CIO gave us was, I'm no longer being asked to keep the trains running on time. I need to figure out where do I lay down new train track. And it's a very different mindset that's expected from us. And yeah, it's a great question, absolutely. Any other questions? Yeah.
We can enter the term technology.
Yeah.
What does that really mean? I mean, are we talking about devices? Two devices are talking about data. You're using that a lot.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of different applications when they say we need technology to help us get better. What are you seeing? What kinds of technologies? Is it better access to the data, better ways to manipulate the data, better ways to acquire it?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's all of them, right? So if you look at the operations chart, right, in there, if you go back, they're saying, well, what can you do to like automate my factory, right? Something like that. If you're going in the channel side, they're saying, well, what can you do to detect when someone comes into my store and give them a coupon, right? Like, just-in-time customer service, or they're having a bad time. How do I go about addressing that? What can you do there, right? And that would require all kinds of mobility, omni-channel like understanding of the customer. And then, of course, yes, there could be data, like GE did, right, for saying that, hey, we can actually sell the data. There's about, I think it's a terabyte per hour that they generate of flight, the engine. So can we analyze the data and give them diagnostic tools, United Airlines, to service the engine before something goes wrong, right? So it could be all dimensions, is basically what they're saying. And I'll show you examples. We're seeing this across industries. Like Heineken is being asked to come up with sensors, IoT on six-packs, right? And in the fridge and work it with ones, the grocery store, and saying, okay, how do I create an automated refilling approach to Heineken six-packs? Yeah. So yeah, it is all of them. It really is broad. And the implications of that for IT are kind of listed out here. And I think that's the number one factor there, is an extremely important piece. That it's no longer that business strategy, initiatives that we have, we will cascade to IT strategy, and then we will have infra strategy and app strategy. It's not going to work. Business strategy is IT strategy. So it's really, really important that we position ourselves to be able to support that. If you look at the third one there, sole provider of technology, on the left, right, we're moving from that to becoming a partner with business-led IT. I know we used to call it shadow IT. We try to say, okay, shadow has got a negative connotation. Business-led IT is what it is, to a large extent. And why are they doing it? What's our role when they do have business-led IT initiative? Can we develop, in a way, multiple personality disorder to say we're no longer going to be just a provider? Sometimes we're going to be a consultant, sometimes an advisor, sometimes a broker. So yeah, there's all kinds of stances, hats we'll have to wear when we work with them. And the best part about this, I don't know if some of you as CIOs are seeing this, or finance is seeing this, but we're going to move from being considered back office and SG&A at the bottom to cost of goods sold. I see a head nodding in the finance department. That's good. So yeah, it's changing the meaning of IT. Yeah, and what does that mean for us? We've got to go and do a lot of things faster. We got to be flexible. We got to know our businesses more. We got to improve our customer experience while, yes, not pissing off the finance people and keeping it reliable, right? So we got to be cost efficient and reliable, but we got to be doing all of these things. Big asks, lots of great imperatives from this, but the focus today I was going to do was kind of focus on elements 2 and 9. So this is the new IT operating model for digital. What do we as IT organizations do to interact with our business partners in a different kind way? So IT, just like finance or HR, has been organized like it was organized by Henry Ford 120 years ago, right? It was all about what we do. So we do apps, we do infrastructure, we do PMO, and we kind of force our customers to interact with us through what we do. And that is no longer going to be sufficient. So the number one call out there is products over projects. It's essentially saying we have to talk about the business capabilities we're enabling, whether it is in the operation side, whether it is in the channel side, whether it is on the product side. The products mindset, the capability-based approach to interacting with our business partners is going to be a critical shift we all have to follow. And when we interact based on products rather than projects, we're going to have to adapt our business engagement, which you see as the number 2 call out there. This is a very, very, very busy page, but I just want to kind of just say that depending on the product, whether it is a running the company, so hey, finance could be a crown jewel. We got to keep it very much about efficiency and reliability versus a competitive product that we are kind of enabling the next millions of dollars for the company. There we might be all about speed, not cost. So how do we go about changing our engagement based on the product type we have is going to be a critical way of changing the way we engage with our business partners.
So
Yeah.
you see that,
Sandy.
I actually don't see it product-based, I see it customer journey-based.
Okay.
Because you might have 5 products
Yes.
in a process from a customer perspective.
Great.
Do you see that? I see it
Yeah, so the term product has been a little bit of a debate internally in our research team of what product means, really, because it's been co-opted by quite a few other products, right? But customer-centric design, and that is customer journey mapping, is definitely going to be an integral part for the products. Are also interchangeably called capabilities or end-to-end services that we offer. So it actually is one way. It's a how. Customer journey mapping will be a how to make that product better. So we actually have a great case from State Farm who's done exactly that, journey mapping, kind of how they've gone about doing that for products that they sell. By products, they mean end-to-end services. So it's, I think we're talking the same thing, but yeah, it's definitely, and that's number 4. We're not talking about it today, but if you're interested, we can definitely talk more about it offline. But today I was going to talk about number 2 and number 9, which is how do we engage differently depending on product? Yes.
The one thing that I see in number 2 and number 9, and it doesn't appear in any of the other entries, is the word adaptive.
Adaptive, yeah.
And to me, it sounds like you want to actually build resilience in an organization, which is defined by me as bouncing back from setbacks totally unexpected with speed and with effective ways to beat the competition if they have the same situation. So in that case, I want to ask a question. It sounds to me like the CIO should be the right-hand person of the chief executive officer and be present in all the meetings. Is this the case right now? When they talk strategy, when they talk, when you have the key 5 people that report to the person who is at the helm,
Yeah.
I think what you are telling me is you got to be there if you're a CIO.
I mean, and not only the CIO, actually, I would say that the whole entire IT department needs to do that. Now, the skill part comes in play here. Like some CIOs are going to be operational CIOs. They just want to be system-based CIOs, and they're going to be that mindset. Most CIOs now that are going to have to succeed are going to have to be and say, how do I become an evangelist for technology? How do I become a consultant to the different departments? Yeah.
Going from number 6 to number 1.
Yeah. It's a very big, yes.
You have to be right there where things are happening with speed and know it first, and maybe being in a position to almost suggest what we should be thinking if we can right now before it's even happening, so that we can actually do
Absolutely.
what it takes to avoid
Absolutely. Yeah, actually, we're showing an example from Heineken on exactly that as well. Yeah, absolutely. But that is that mindset shift that we need. Unfortunately, the data says that 92% of us in this room and across the board, and we have 3,000 IT employees we assessed in a formal psychological assessment, are not ready for being adaptive. Okay? So we've got to work on that as a leadership team here to kind of say, what can we do to overcome some of those limitations? Because we are pretty adaptive at home. Something happens to us in our organization. So there is something going on that we've got to go and overcome for them. So yeah, absolutely. So let me dive into this. Let's talk about number 2, adaptive engagement. So you're going to engage people depending on the person you're dealing with, right? You said, right, hey, we need to be engaging with everyone, right, in the company. Well, I don't want to call out finance again, but I'll just call it out. So finance could be a technology neophyte, okay? And there you can say to them, here's what I need you to do, and here is what we're going to do for you. You can be very prescriptive to a neophyte. But if you do that with someone in the product side on marketing, for example, who is a dreamer, they're going to tune you out and actually say, I'm not going to listen to you because I have some other ideas and you're not giving me an opportunity to present my idea. So the way you talk to a dreamer versus a neophyte is going to be very descriptive, very, very different. And definitely a digital business innovator, same deal. Like it's even more so that you're going to have to be wearing a different hat that might be, hey, I'm going to actually be potentially a broker for you or an advisor rather than a provider. Because you're, at this point, an expert for your company, not just an expert in the technology. When you're dealing with a digital business innovator, you need to be putting on the company hat, not the technology hat. If you tell them, hey, I'm going to get you, this great hosting solution, it's going to fall flat. They don't need that. They need, to that general manager quote that was earlier, or I can give me your requirements and I'll give you the product. It's not going to work. They are going to want you to come up with, where do we lay down new train track? Yeah, and that is a different mindset that's required from us. So just to kind of orient you to the chart, the digital ambitions of the stakeholders, right, going from low to high, and then digital ability of the stakeholders going from low to high. The way you deal with someone, depending on their ambition and their ability, is going to be starkly different. And we all have to develop very different personalities to engage with them in a meaningful way. And I'll show you what those are, kind of jump ahead. But yeah, so these are the 5 that we're seeing we need to all develop. And you want to call it multiple personality disorder, fine, but I think it really is just wearing multiple hats, right? Yeah. Oh, sure.
You show tech is going north anyway. You see the 2 directions, the dreamers and the techies. There is research of the last few years, right here at UCLA, and I will not belabor it too much, that suggested to bring these 2 more frequently together, not solve problems.
Oh, right.
To engage in conversation, whatever that is, and I won't go into the details. Then they'll go back to their cubby holes, and unbeknownst to them, the brain is going to start thinking not in that direction, but a little closer to where you really want to go, which does justice to both. That's for some other time.
Yeah, no, that's extremely fair. And
That's the new brain research, and I'm talking about, again, using technology which is totally unknown as of 2-3 years ago.
great point. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. It's going to be, again, this is where we can play a very big role. Sometimes, and architecture, in particular, enterprise architecture is playing a pretty big role to kind of make the possibilities real. And
The first is going to have really to be number 1 in the marketplace.
absolutely, that we all want that competitive advantage. So, so we were going to talk about adaptive engagement, right? And adaptive engagement will require 4 things. I'll talk about the first one, flexing IT's role, right? And this is, we're going to be shifting between being an evangelist sometimes, and I'll show you an example from Heineken on what Heineken has done to become an evangelist in their company, to being a consultant or a broker or a coach. And the 5th role is what we all are very used to, the delivery role. We've all been doing that. That is one that we still have to do for quite a few places, right, for running the firm. But for growing the firm, we need all kinds of different options. And I'm curious if if there were thoughts on how many people feel that they have all these personalities in their teams. I think some of you, you kind of, I'm seeing head nodding there. So can we do it at scale is what's being asked. I think that's the challenge. I think we can all think of people and we can put them in, that person is a great broker. They know how to network people. But yeah, can we do this at scale? It's tough. And I think one of the things that we've found is that because we are stuck at the bottom in delivery, we slow things down a lot for our firms. And that's why they feel that we're too slow and we're very good for large-scale systems, not for the new digital opportunities. And we've got to change that mind in our firms, and we definitely have to change their perceptions on it. We can't just say we're going to become faster. We've got to do something about it, and those 4 stances could potentially help. Okay? So without much further ado, let's go talk about an example from Heineken on evangelism. So Heineken, is not really a beverages company. They're a marketing company, right? Everybody makes beer, right? They market it much, much better than everyone else, right? And so what they found was IT was getting sidelined every single time. They were hiring creative agencies, technology agencies outside, and trying to get, IT to go and implement whatever solution that they came up with from an external creative agency, because they felt that, IT was much better for, on the right-hand side, for governance and architecture, which is nice, and maybe a little bit of technology innovation, but not really about changing the way Heineken will be run, right? And so what Rob at Heineken's architecture group did was said, you know what, I got to change that perception. I'm banging my head against the wall. These ideas that you paid millions of dollars to a creative agency to get, we've already come up with 3 months ago, if you just talk to us, right? And you're like, well, we didn't know you guys were working on this. We didn't know you had that capacity. And so he formally created 3 new areas in the architecture group, right? A digital competency area, a new ways of working section, and a digital technology accelerators. And what they ended up doing, which was really, really cool, was just like a creative agency, they created briefs for the different partners in the company. So when they went in to talk to marketing, they had an innovation dossier, a brief that you see there, on here's the latest and greatest on marketing that we think you should be exploring. So they were evangelizing technologies to marketing, to supply chain, to sales, to become a thought partner with them in adopting the latest technology. And they've kind of gone through another iteration now. Lots more detail on this, but what you see on this page is the process they go through for digital innovation exercises. Anybody doing something similar already in their organizations? Jim?
I'm going to pick on the term a little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't seen an EA person who actually knows how to do that.
Okay.
So I think that's a one-off, and Heineken, they must be trying their product out while they're having this match.
They're more comfortable.
So my thinking is this type, I think, take the EA away.
Yeah.
I think the functions that you're talking about
Exactly.
make a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
But that might be the CIO, that might be the CTO, that might be
Absolutely.
A different type of communication
Absolutely.
than I typically found from someone with the title of EA. And no offense to EA people. But I think
Yeah. Oh, Shiva is now going to. This is the EA person speaks.
so what I see good about this is they have created 3 new bodies inside the EA. That is what aspiring to me. Because the right-hand side is the normal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Jim is alluding to.
Yeah, exactly. That's correct. But they thought about it and said, okay, I want to create new teams, and he brought in the staff who is capable of doing that.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
But I think Jim's point is, does it belong in EA? And it doesn't need to. And there is, and one of the things that, of course, with any new thing, CDO is a new title that everybody wants to throw out. So we found that actually Chief Data Officer is a lot more prevalent than Chief Digital Officer, to your point about partnering with the CEO. But it's not anything specific in EA. All I wanted to bring out was these competencies are something that IT can do and has done. Yeah. The capacity. Yeah. Yeah. Skill and will problem. Yeah, absolutely. So they might have the skill, but they don't have the will because of demand, or the other way around as well. Yeah, I think to a large extent. Oh, one more question.
Quick comment.
Yeah.
To me, one of the challenges with this approach is that they're literally trying to compete against the outside party, right? That they're going to provide the same service. I think a model
Mhm.
the business operation, as opposed to competing with other people or trying to get their attention. That's just my point of view.
Yeah, I don't know if so it's competing with, in a way that hopefully is a cooperative way, because what they have is an internal understanding of the capabilities of Heineken that likely an external agency may not have. So there might be clearly still a room. It's a hybrid play, right? You can't eliminate creative agencies from Heineken's approach and marketing, but there might be some complementing of shaping how that creative agency will partner with them. But yeah, you're right. There's a fundamental, transformation that's happening everywhere. You had a query. Yeah.
You mentioned that the chief data officer is more
Yeah.
prevalent than chief digital officer.
Yeah.
Are they growing or are they shrinking in terms of usage? So it came up a lot. I don't hear much about chief digital officer, data officer anymore.
Growing as like in terms of prevalence, it is still growing. We're seeing that it's a 3 to 5 year role, is what most people are saying. It's like ideally you should, as to that point made earlier, everything is digital, everything is technology based. So eventually you're going to get to a point where you don't need a chief data officer, but in the short run, people are trying to put those things in place to corral and kind of figure out, okay, is there an enterprise data approach that we can come up with?
And are you seeing that as a reaction to the CIO not acting fast enough in terms of monetizing data and in terms of
I mean, I don't know if it's fast enough only, but yes, the speed is definitely a factor. I think there is but sometimes a skill issue. They may not have that skill, or they may not even have the will to do it, right? So definitely multiple factors, but yeah, speed is definitely one of the limiting factors. I know I'm running up on time, so I'm going to jump ahead. So just some of the slides, and I don't know if you guys are going to get distribution of this, but this is kind of showing how the PMO, the project management office, is changing their posture. So they are, if you look at those columns, they are, they're definitely doing executing, but they're also now doing coaching and consulting and brokering. Yeah. So that's another piece that, again, multiple stances to be taken by every function in IT. To the point that was made earlier about being Socratic with your business partners, CareFusion has come up with not the questions to ask the vendors, but the questions that every head of the function should ask themselves. And that kind of forces them to ask, things like, why are we doing this? Like, what's the business capability we're going to go after? If you go too sophomoric with your business partner, they're going to get turned off again. Going back to the dreamer versus techie piece, so just get them to ask the right questions for themselves.
Anticipate, not respond.
Correct. Exactly. But even more so that you're arming them, so they don't even have to ask you. And I think that's even more uncomfortable for a lot of us. Saying, hey, can we arm the business partner to ask the questions themselves so that we don't come to this problem where they throw something at us and huge amounts of architecture problems and integration or technical debt problems or security problems, all the usual stuff that we hear about, the 1,000 flowers blooming. Yeah. One last point on this. We have been very good at building relationships with our business partners. On the right-hand side, you can kind of see we're now considered, hey, we get along with others, we're likable, we're generous with our time. What has happened is that is 3 times less effective than being a challenger. A challenger is someone who actually builds up constructive tension, not being a jerk, but builds up constructive tension with the business partners. So they teach them something about their own business, which means they got to have business knowledge, right? They got to be tailoring the message depending on that, is it a neophyte or a dreamer, right? And then they've got to be able to assert control when needed. It's not an easy stance for a lot of us in IT, but that is where, and we have data again that shows, and this comes from the Sales Executive Council. We work with heads of sales, and in complex selling solutions, right, which is what IT is, we're selling complex solutions, B2B, a challenger is 3 times more effective than a relationship builder. Yeah? So again, let's figure out a way to shape demand and become more challengers. Last piece, we do have a lot of data on the skills we have and the mindset we have in IT. And we have clear data that shows that there is a more balanced approach we need. We need more versatile players and targeted players, not just more targeted players anymore in this world, right? So versatility is going to be extremely important. And I'm going to jump ahead and show you this data point, and I'm going to stop talking mostly. We have 3,000 IT employees we assessed, okay? And these 12 competencies are the most important competencies we think are needed in this new digital world. And the ones that are on the bottom there, influencing skills, relationship management skills, decision-making skills, across the board, very low competency, yeah? Very, very low in proficiency there. So we've got to figure out a way to how do we help them become more proficient in those skills, because they're going to need that. Yeah?
Challenger versus relationship builder. It
Yeah.
shouldn't be an either or.
Right.
That's tyranny.
That's a point. It's a good point.
It needs to be both, period.
Yeah.
Not one or the other.
Yeah. It's an additive.
Both will happen.
Absolutely. That's true. You will get more credibility and build a relationship because of more meaningful relationship. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I was going to, let's just, because of time, one thing that I was going to say was that give your teams opportunities by positioning them not on titles, but experiences, which is another piece that is going to be an extremely important piece. We are going to have to give them more experiences. We're running out of titles for people. And everybody wants a CIO title. So yes, go for what their aspiration is, and then give them the right-hand side. You see the experiences to build out those things. So final 2 points on the key takeaways. We've got to be able to flex our roles, develop multiple personality disorder as needed, become consultants, become brokers, become coaches, beyond just being great delivery people. And we've got to build technical depth, which they still need, as well as engagement skills in parallel. We need both. So I'll pause here and open it up for more questions. Of course, yes, thanks.